Hoyt Carbon RX10 Ultra. Hoyt gets into the no bow press tuning game. Hey everybody, this is PJ Riley from Lancaster Archery out here today to introduce to you 2026 Hoyt RX10 Ultra. So this is going to be the long one, 33.5 inches. You are of course going to have the Carbon RX10, which is going to be just over 30 inches long. I always like playing with the Ultra, so that's what we've got here today. But as we mentioned, Hoyt Archery has now gotten into the game where we're putting tuning features on the bow that you do not need a bow press for. We'll tell you all about that in a second. All right, Hoyt Carbon RX10 Ultra. Hoyt every year comes out with an aluminum line and a carbon line. This is the carbon line, and this is the big one. This is the longer one. Just under 33.5 inch axle to axle, just under 6.5 inch brace height. We're going to be able to get to go from 26 to 31 inches on different modules. I'll tell you about that in a second. Available draw weight options. Peak draw weight, 50, 60, 65, 70, 75, and for you big guys, 80 pounds. Those are going to be your draw weight options. This bow is listed at a weight of 4.5 pounds. We'll put it on the LAS shipping scale, show you what we got for a weight. And speed rating of up to 340 feet per second. As always, we will do our own speed test for this. So one of the things that we're carrying over, same cam here as last year, the HBX Gen 4 cam. This is a multi-faceted cam that they have here. And you heard me say, 26 inches up to 31 inch, that's your draw length adjustment. There's gonna be 5 modules for that. One cam, 5 different modules. So what I have on here is the module that's gonna allow me to adjust from 29 1/4 up to 30 inches. So there are 4 module positions, and it's gonna be on this module, it's gonna be 30, 29 3/4, 29 1/2, 29 1/4 inches. So every module that you're gonna get is gonna have those 4 positions on there. And that's Hoyt's way. You know, if you have one single module that goes from 26 to 31 inches, the low end of that module, your performance is gonna be weak. So this is Hoyt's way without having, they used to have a different cam. They used to have 3 different cams and then different modules. They kept one cam, changed the module, just makes life simpler, and you get better performance at all the draw lengths. Also on that HBX cam, we have this little rubber bumper right here. That is great. If you've got it set on, you know, you got your Hoyt Go sticks on there, you can rest that on the cam, or when you're lowering it down from a tree stand, it hits that and not the cam. Great feature. So something else that we have on the HBX Gen 4 cam is this adjustable shoe. First off, you're going to be able to change let off. 85, 80, 75%. You can see that just by moving it. Also, what I'm going to be able to do is change the feel of the back wall by swapping the shoe from end to end, from cam to cam. And when I do that, it's going to change my position of the shoe from this side. It's going to go over to the inside when I swap them. And that allows you to get, you know, a little bit of give in that back wall. And then where I have it now, it's super rock solid. So again, just being able to customize that cam to the way you want to feel it. All right, so the main feature we want to talk about with this year's Hoyt lineup is this XTS Tuning feature. Let's take a deep dive, show you all how it works. All right, so the XTS Tuning system, this is Hoyt's new system. What is it and how does it work? So first thing to know is you're going to have controls on each of the 4 limbs. That's important to note. You're going to have a lock, and then you're going to have a working mechanism. And what it is there's a wedge in each of these limbs that you're either going to drive in or pull back out. And that interaction with the limb, that's going to affect your cam lean left or right as you're going through the tuning process. A couple things we want to talk about with the XTS tuning system, because there are some functionalities that are different from what we've been doing in the tuning world. First off, Hoyt's engineers told me they have been working on this for 3 years because they wanted a tuning system that would fix both horizontal and vertical tuning issues. The vertical tuning issues, that's kind of the unique one. We don't really see that in any of the tuning systems that are out there that deal with the vertical issues. We'll explain how that works as we talk about it. All right, so let's say we're in the tuning process and you get a knock right tear, right? So from behind the bow, what we want to do when you have a knock right tear, you want that cam to go to the right. It follows the tear. So with normal tuning, Hoyt used to have the old yoke system. What we would do is we would put twists into the right limb tip, take them out of the left. That would pitch the cam to the right. So what we're going to do, though, with the XTS is we need to flip the bow around. So now you are working, as you're looking at the bow, you're going to drive the wedge in on the right limb and take it out on the left. Now, from behind the bow, it's actually the opposite, but we don't want to confuse anybody, so we're going to talk about what you need to do. Right tear, with the bow facing you, you're going to drive the wedge in on the right, and you're going to take it out on the left. And so what you're going to do, we have our locking screw, as we mentioned, right here, and then your controls are inside here. Clockwise drives the limb in, counterclockwise pulls it out. And you want to be even. So if I put one full turn into this side, I want to take one full turn out this side. That's because if you only do one side, you're going to affect your draw weight. Now you get kind of double the tuning, depending on how much of a tear you're trying to fix. You can do top and bottom limb, drive it in to get that cam to go to the right as we're looking at it. You can, whatever you do up here, you can also do down here. Obviously, that's part of the tuning. How much you have to fix plays an issue. But just remember, whatever you do to one side, do the opposite to the other to maintain the draw weight. Now, that's to fix your horizontal tears. If you want to fix a vertical tear, let's say we have, it's going through and it's hitting knock high. So knock high, obviously what we want to do is we want to bring the knocking point down. So with this system, what that would mean is we would take equal turns out of the top and put turns into the bottom. Remember, there's a wedge in there. So you can imagine as I take turns out of the top, I'm relaxing the pressure on these limb tips, which causes the axle to go down. And then if I do the opposite down here, I drive these in, I'm increasing pressure. So what that's doing is pulling the axle up this way. Obviously, what's the net effect to knock a position? I just moved my knocking point down because I went down on the bottom and I went down on the top. That moves my knocking point down. Now, one of the things that Hoyt mentions is typically when we tune, we're always told to fix vertical issues first. Hoyt says with the XTS to fix your lateral issues first, because what they found is a lot of times as you're adjusting this cam position here at the limb tips, you may end up fixing your vertical travels. So they say fix lateral first, vertical second. So like we mentioned, you can adjust draw weight, or as you're doing your tuning, that can have an effect on draw weight if you're doing things unevenly. So as you're going through the tuning process, you can always go back and just check your draw weight in case you did something you weren't aware of. But obviously, if I drove these in and these in, I'm increasing that draw weight for sure. So you just want to pay attention to draw weight. And if you ever get out of sorts, right up on top here, you're going to see this series of lines. This series I'm pointing at, that's on every limb tip. And you're going to notice two long lines at the bottom. Then we're going to have two of the same size lines and then two short lines at the top. Your zero position is right in between the two lines that are the same distance. It's the same length. That's going to be zero because obviously you're right in between them. Then you're starting your move down or you're starting your move up on this scale here. And so Hoyt gives you that scale just so that if you just get things all out of whack and you want to go back to 0, putting this little arrow indicator right between the two lines that are the same length on all the limbs, that's going to be your 0. All right, so we're out here on our indoor range with the RX10 Ultra. Want to put the XTS tuning system to use just to show you how it functions. And I want to make sure I give Hoyt their due. You may not have to use any of this tuning system. Quite frankly, this bow right out of the box shot a perfect bullet hole with my, me just eyeing up my elevation for my knocking point and setting the rest to 13/16. A lot of people ask about that. That's not industry standard. A lot of companies, Hoyt in particular, suggests setting your rest at 13/16 to start. Tim Gillingham, he talks about 13/16, a lot of folks. That's a starting point, and it seems to work. I don't know if it's an industry standard, but if I set my rest to 13/16, I'm gonna say 8 times out of 10, I get a bullet hole and I don't have to fix anything. But this one, when I set it to 13/16, shot a bullet hole. Well, what fun is that? We don't get to tune it. So I push the rest in. I believe I'm at about 11.5/16, and I know it's going to produce a tear, so I want to do that, and then we'll put XTS to work. All right, so if you look in there, it's close. It's still maintaining a tune, but it is just slightly knock right. So what do we do about knock right? Remember, we want to knock right. We want the cam to go right. So we're going to turn the bow around, and now I'm going to work with the right limb as it's facing me. I'm going to take my lock out. Let's do a half turn. I don't know how much things are affected. I don't know what a half turn does. I don't know what a full turn does. It's very new. I've been playing with it a little bit. But then I'm going to go over to the left side, and I'm going to take a half turn out. Okay, I'm not even going to mess with the bottom. I'm going to see what that did first. There it is, perfect bullet hole. So here you can see just slightly, we're over to the right there, right down the pipe. And that's tuning it with the rest where I don't really want it, moving the rest into the right. Used XTS, clean that up. All right, so the RX10 Ultra, before we get into the shooting experience, we of course want to talk about, we do have I can have a pick mounted sight here because we have a Picatinny rail mounted in the front. And we do have this aluminum plate that Hoyt puts in there that allows me to attach an IMS integrated mounting system rest, or you've got your standard if you have a standard rest as well. Same thing with a sight, you do have your holes up there if you have a traditional mounted sight. Moving down the bow, got that great Hoyt grip. I'm a big fan of their grip, super comfortable. We've got 2 bushings for stabilizers. One of them, usually the lower one, will include Hoyt's little dampener stabilizer. It's got a little weight at the end there. And with that extended position out front, a lot of folks only shoot with that. They don't add a stabilizer on there. So you can do that. But we want to talk about what it's like to shoot the RX10 Ultra. If you've been following our videos, it's going to come as no surprise to you that I am a fan of Hoyt's RX whatever Ultras. I've been a fan of them every year. So let's see what the RX10 Ultra, what that's like. So, shooting experience. I'll walk you through it as I shoot it. Very typical of that HBX Gen 4 cam, so not much difference there from the RX9 Ultra. Your effort is really at the front end, right there. And then it comes back smooth, and I have that extra hard stop position Kind of feels like a limb stop, basically. Nice deep valley. I'm on 85% let off. You, of course, can change that if you want to. But it's a nice, smooth drawing bow. It is 33.5 inches axle to axle, so I would expect it to be pretty smooth. It is very smooth drawing. I don't have a ton of weight on this bow, and it is carbon. It's just, it balances nice. It's a big bow, so it's gonna hold well. Just real nice shooting bow. And you can hear that blip at the end. Quiet, I will say that, you know, when the string hits, it is a little bit higher pitch than a lot of other bows in terms of noise, the noise that it makes to shot. It is a higher pitch. It's not loud. Now, at the shot, I have to remind myself, what do we feel in the hand? So it's carbon, which is different than aluminum. I wouldn't describe it as vibration. I'd describe it as a thump because of that carbon. Carbon soaks up a lot of vibration. So you feel a thump. The bow reacts a little bit forward. In other words, it's not like I shoot it and the bow just sits there dead. It reacts forward a little bit. I like that in a bow, but hand shock, I mean, it's minimal, it's not much. Speed test, Hoyt RX 10 Ultra. First step, getting our draw weight, 70.5. So if we're remembering, the speed rating is up to 340 feet per second. That's gonna be 70 pounds, 30-inch draw, 350 grain arrow. So we are at 70 pounds, 30-inch draw. Here's our 350 grain Easton Sonic. .331.6. 333.4. 333-ish. So we're about 7 feet per second off the rating. All right, here we go. Hoyt RX 10 Ultra 80-yard clay bird challenge. Let's see what we can do. Oh, just left. Maybe I gotta get like bigger clay birds. Or what if it was like hollow and I had to hit the ring? Maybe I have trouble hitting the solid object. Come on, there we go. So we got a new device that holds it up. I don't know why that one broke funny, but you can see the ring. I'm inside the ring. Hey, we did it, 80 yards, Claybird, RX 10 Ultra. All right, so from back there, it looked like I was inside this ring, but I'm actually touching the outside. But if you know sporting clays, it only takes one pellet to break those things. That's a break. You saw it on camera. Hoyt Carbon RX 10 Ultra, latest version of the Hoyt. Of course, what is greatest about this is that XTS tuning system. That thing is awesome. If you want to see all the different color options that there are available for the Carbon RX 10 Ultra, be sure to click the link in the description below. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like it, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to click that bell to get notifications whenever we put out new videos. And as always, if you have any questions, visit us at lancasterarchery.com.